Hi, folks. I've got to keep a straight face for 5 minutes. Let's see if I can do it. And the reason I got to keep a straight face is before the Zoom call started, Beloved and she had me in stitches. But, I can't say why because this video is being censored on YouTube. This is Kenneth Price, and this is Sunday, December 18th, and this is our Sunday morning. This is our 56th Sunday morning Zoom call. With my mighty companions, with my peeps, for the ministry I'm hosting, and Beloved's doing this, psychiatricsobriety.com, a ministry that's been evolving for over a year because I'm not some sort of spiritual teacher. I'm no guru. I'm just a simple carpenter who had a psychiatric parable and I completely emerged from 25 years of psychiatry, psych meds, benzodiazepines, and addictions. I completely emerged. I completely healed. I'm a walking, talking miracle. So I don't need all sorts of complicated credentials. Oh, hold on. But I do need to silence this phone there. But I don't have a whole lot of complicated credentials. I don't need complicated credentials. I'm here to share the miracle instead. And I'm here to love everybody. And I'm here to So we're going to love your ego to death, because in order to have a psychiatric parable, in order to have a mental illness, you have to have an ego. And once I was, able to, collapse and, realize that I didn't die, it was my ego died. Poof, voila, I'm emerged. All right. So what we do here for an hour every Sunday is we get together and we unwind. We do whatever needs to be done. We do whatever people need to discuss what's going on. Generally, it's for people who have been in psychiatry, have been diagnosed with mental illnesses, and oftentimes been put on medication, which we're not here to protest medication. We're not here to protest psychiatry. But by the time you get to the Zoom call, you realize that you've asked yourself, there's got to be a better way. You come to the Zoom call and you realize that many of us have found a better way. And that's what we do here for an hour. We do it for more than an hour, but it's being recorded for an hour for YouTube. So if you don't want this to go on YouTube, then wait for the hour to be over. I'll stop the recording and then you can share. But I do need to disclose that we record these. We record these for a very valuable reason. Because what comes through us is extraordinarily valuable and powerful. And I go back and I listen to what each person said, because each person here is on a healing journey. And I find and believe that healing journeys are the purpose that we are here on planet Earth for. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I don't throw in as many disclaimers as I used to, because we're very clear. We're more clear than ever. But just for the sake of harm reduction, we're not telling anybody to get off their meds. We're not gonna go into medications and specifics and symptoms, and we're not here to say there's anything wrong with psychiatry. We're way showers who have found a trail of breadcrumbs out of the dark forest of mental illness. We are way showers who are getting together, once a week and sharing experience, strength, and hope. When I say experience, strength, and hope, it's because I'm a 12-stepper. And that's some of the language directly from a 12-step program, is we get together to share experience, strength, and hope with one another. We don't go into our stories, but we do use them as testimonies. Very, very important point to make. So that's sort of my 5-minute introduction. And since it is a ministry, it's a ministry. I make no bones about that. I'm very clear. Is it a Christian ministry? Is it a religious ministry? No. Did I emerge, without God? No, I needed God to emerge. So it has to be a ministry. Define God how you want, but please, no sky God, no fear, that's old paradigm, draconian, Middle Ages balderdash. But we will bring God into the discussion here. So just, heads up. Because it's a ministry, we started all off with the healer's prayer. I started off with the healer's prayer, but the reason I do this is because it's not about Kenneth being wise. It's not about anybody here knowing anything. It's about all of us getting out of the way. That's why I record these, because what comes through us is divinely guided. I swear to God, don't think I didn't plan any of this, and I'm not planning any of this. It's happening because all of us have come together for our primary purpose is healing, emerging. So, rah, rah, rah. Here it goes, the healer's prayer. We are here only to be truly helpful, and we are here to represent him or her who sent us. We do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he or she who sent us will direct us. We are content to be wherever he or she wishes, knowing he or she goes there with us. And for the icing on the cake, drum roll, please, we will be healed as we let him or her teach us how to heal. All right, that's I did it in 5 minutes this time. Beloved, Mary, Jody, Jenny, and Chris, who wants to start off? This is your Zoom call. Beloved's already dancing. She had me in stitches. She's always, and that's part of what we got to do here, folks. We got to laugh at our if we can't laugh at these mental illnesses, we're going to just stay in this squirrel cage. If we can find laughter, and Beloved had me in stitches. But one of the things I got to point out that we said, Beloved and I earned our humor. We earned our laughter. It's kind of like, the trilogy of The Hobbit. Bilbo got back to the Shire, and he wrote his memoir, There and Back Again. That's what Beloved and I have to offer. We've been down the rabbit hole of mental illness. We've been, and the rest of us, we've all been down into the dark forest, and we've emerged back. But we've emerged back because we went pearl diving, and we went all the way to the bottom of the abyss, and we captured the pearls. That's what I want to offer with this ministry. That's why I want to record these on YouTube. Is once you've been down into those trenches, and you've been lifted to the surface, carried to the surface with grace, then you might ask yourself, what was it all about? What was it all for? And that was the moment that my spirit guide, I was the same question I asked my spirit guide. I said, why? And she said, well, sweetie, did you check your pocket? And I took my hand and I reached into my pocket, and there was a pearl. Folks, we go down we have been told that something's wrong and something's going wrong. But when we emerge from one of these psychiatric parables, your spirit guide's going to tell you the same thing. Look in your pocket, and you're going to find a pearl. So they're nuggets of wisdom that could not have been accomplished had we not gone down a road. And I don't care if it's a psychiatric parable, addictions, I don't care what form it takes. But once someone is graced, into an emergence, that pearl is service. That pearl is extension. The pearl is love, purpose. There, I've said enough. I've gone on for 8 minutes. Who wants to take the ball and run with it? Because you all got pearls. And that's part of the reason is you think, oh, he has a pearl, I don't. Bullshit. Everyone's got it. Jody's going to share with us her pearls. Go.
I'm so grateful that you brought this up, because one of the things I've been really noticing this week is I'm so grateful for my ability to laugh. One of my greatest healing tools is the ability to just reframe a situation and be able to laugh my ass off about it, because holy smokes, life is funny. The situations, I just call them shenanigans, the shenanigans that I get up to these days, the shenanigans that life throws at me, the lessons that the universe throws at me. It's just funny. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to laugh it off. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, healing tool that I have in my belt right now. Just I'm being too serious again. I'm being too serious again.
That's what the Course in Miracles says. The tiny, what was it, beloved? When the tiny mad ideas, when the Son of God forgot to laugh. It's truly, the Course in Miracles spends, all this time teaching us it's an illusion. But the moment we find humor in it, we've already captured the pearl, because you have to laugh at the cartoon. This is a cartoon. This is a great big, Shakespeare, the whole world is stage and all the people are actors or something like that. But we have to write these dramas in the first half of our life and try and become a successful human being. We have to try it. And then we have to fail at it, because there's no way you can be a successful human being. And in addition to that, there's no way you can be a failure of a human being, because we're not human beings. We're spirit. That's the cosmic joke that's making you chuckle. I was never any of that. I wasn't the one who had those 25 years of benzo. I made it all up. Why? I don't know. That's what's funny.
To learn your lessons. I think we make it all up so that we can learn from it.
And you have a lovely story. Everybody here has lovely stories. I love them. I just like, oh, what's your story? What's your story? Tell me more. Tell me more. Right? It's our vehicle. But don't discount it because I'm laughing and I'm joyful and I'm happy. That is where the power is. That is where sanity lies.
That's
not in worry, fear, anger, blah, blame, sickness, suffering. No. So you're not going to find it there. You're not going to find no healing there. You're going to find it in laughter. You're going to find it in light. You're going to find it in upliftment. That's why we gather here. Because we got to laugh at each other's story, or, at least be, engaged at least, and see, and see how we're doing. And that's what this is. It's a ministry of upliftment, love. Love is the bottom line. What is love now? That's where the confusion and chaos, that's where the insanity is, right? That is where we just think we're bodies. And then once you identify as a body, oh, well, you are in the rabbit hole. And we all, come on, who hasn't? I'm not that spiritual yet. I didn't believe this Raina character, Bam Bam, was the real deal. At least begin to laugh at her. Enjoy the movie. Enjoy your lovely self. I mean, I had to fall in love with me as I am. I got to tell you about my friend I just saw when I was in Atlanta. And I've known him since he was 17 years old. And later on in life, he taught me the DDR. So I'm not even going to that story of Dance Revolution, but he was my teacher. So like my guru of DDR. So at 17. So then years later, his mother says, can somebody help? My son's been diagnosed as a schizophrenic, and they want to put him on this medication. And I think all he needs is some healthy food and somebody to come clean the house. And so, of course, I had to come. He saved he created my DDR career. I'm like, okay, but he wasn't schizophrenic person, you see, because I knew him at 17. So I'm meeting this dude that they say all this stuff, and I don't know. Anyways, fast forward. So, we've been disassociating throughout the years, and he helps me with DDR. And that is a ministry of mine. We saved my life. And anyway, so I catch up with him, and he comes over, and he said, I just got out of the hospital. He was arrested. He got violent. And then because he's a veteran, he got put in the psychiatric care. And so he said they kept him in the ward. I've never had the privilege to go in a psychiatric ward yet. I've had people encourage me to. They say they give you really nice things, but I just haven't. So anyway, so he's telling me about his experience in the psychiatric ward. And he must have been there for like a month or something, right? And listen, he's looking great. I'm looking at him. He looks great to me. He looks really good, okay? And he said, I played the Wii while I was in there. Who knew this video game, the Wii, would come, and they have it in the mental hospitals? He said, look, and he showed me he had a perfect score in bowling. Now, if you're not a Wii player, you don't know the significance. But if you bowl, you do. A fucking perfect score. He said, look while I was in the mental ward, I got a perfect score. I didn't get a chance to find out what else he got in the mental ward, but he looked great. And, we talked, and then he said, I just want you to know that if you touch me and you don't love me, you're going to die. And I said, touch me then. I love you. We're here only for love. This is all we're talking about here. Love. Just had to share that. I hope to have him here. I hope that I just thought of it, and this, he's in Atlanta, I'm in Mexico, and but I'd love to have him here. I don't know how he would feel about it, but maybe he'll come on. He's a really cool dude.
Mary, Chris, and Jenny, how are you this morning?
Good.
Morning, this afternoon.
Good. It's funny because I never know what this is going to be about from week to week, and I never know what to expect. And today I was almost thinking, like, in preparation, I was like, why are you thinking in preparation? You never know what's going to happen. And where I'm coming from the week that I've had perfectly dovetails everything that everybody has said up till now. I have a little dog who's 17 years old. I had to put her down this week. And I was, a mess. And I came home and I got sick, because that's apparently what I do now. When I have a loss, I'll get, like, it feels like the flu, but I know it's not the flu. And so I spent, a few days just absorbing everything. And I was talking with a really good friend of mine this morning, because we were going to go to brunch and I just wasn't up for it. And we're talking about how life is short and how you only have a limited amount of time. And our conversation, this very good friend of mine is so wise. And we were talking about, what we thought it evolved into. What did we think when we were younger life was supposed to be? And how we disappointed ourselves, because we were both high achievers and we both were very hard on ourselves. We both drove ourselves into adrenal exhaustion at a very early age and still have some of the repercussions of that. And it came full circle, because she's a very spiritual person. I said, I felt that God expected me to achieve, and that God gave me intelligence and talents that if I didn't do a lot with those things, somehow it was a sin that I was taking these gifts and just not doing what I should. And then God would be angry. And maybe, in my next incarnation or what have you, I would not be given gifts. And, all these responsibilities and duties expectations I put on myself. And I said, and when I went through the whole, some of you know my story, but I just went off Valium cold turkey after taking it for almost 4 years, because I was given it as a muscle relaxer, and it made me, ultimately, it put me into a state of psychosis. And somehow in that deep, dark state, I knew that the way out was I had to get off this stuff and see what I was dealing with then. And I did. But I went through some really spiritual and healing transformational stuff during my acute withdrawal. And one of those things was God made it very clear to me, I never expected any of that from you.
Oh.
I just wanted you to be happy and to love other people. I'm not crying sad tears. It's actually just felt so great to see it. He just wanted me to be happy and wanted me to love other people and to accept love. And that was it. None of that other stuff ever mattered. And I could have been a cheerleader. I could have been a dropout. I could have been all the other categories of things that I wasn't, and he would have loved me the same. And how absolutely beautiful that is. And to just be able to live the rest of my life knowing that I really don't have to do anything special. I just have to be me. And to see other people that way too. I don't look at people with judgment. I just love everybody. And it just, that winding road that took me to that knowledge. I mean, how many millennia was it going to take me to get there if I hadn't had that seemingly awful experience with getting off a Valium of all things, something I never thought I would take, but I took it. And it was a transformational journey. And I don't think I could have gotten here if I hadn't gone through all of that. And coming full circle, humor is definitely the way out, because life can be so dark. And in my family, I've had a very codependent relationship with a mom who was not terribly healthy for me, but tried to please her for most of my life unsuccessfully. But the one thing that she taught me to do was to be humorous, because in my family, I was the clown. I was the one that would get everybody to laugh because mom would blow up and have her emotions and her destructive behavior. And I was the only one who could get her to laugh and bring her out of it. And that sense of humor has saved me, because if I hadn't had that sense of ridiculous and absurdity and the ability to be almost ready to blow my own mind and then see myself as if from above and just start to laugh, I don't think I could have made it through. So everything everybody said just came full circle for me. And that's what I had to share.
And Mary, I'm smiling the whole time because your spiritual awakening has just been recorded and documented. Your spiritual awakening. I love spiritual awakenings, and it came impromptu. Mm-hmm. This smile I got is authentic, because that's the message. Not in spite of it, but because of it. It wasn't the worst thing. It was the best thing. And what's coming out now, that's honest. That comes from a deep, that's no spiritual bullshit theology. I hear spiritual bullshit theology all the time from people who, quote the Course in Miracles, quote, just shut the fuck up. I want to hear from a direct experience. Anyway, I can go on and on, but it's not my Zoom call. Anybody want to go with that one? Because there's that one got me on fire, at least. Jenny, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm sorry for your loss. I lost my dog a year ago, and it was a really painful thing for me that I went through. I'm doing good. I'm just having trouble sleeping, but I'm trying to find ways to channel my energy and use up my energy during the day so that I'm tired when night comes and I can sleep okay. And I'm still in the very slow process of getting off of medication. I'm still taking medication, so.
That's something I think. Mary, did you and I join earlier about the loss of your pet? That's the part where I shut up and I listen. That's sadness and grief. Good on you for sharing it and having the courage to go through sadness and grief, loss.
Yeah, but I learned this at an early age when my grandparents died, that there was such a feeling of authenticity when you're meeting with, whether it's the funeral or the memorial service. And in this space of terrible grief, there's so much openness. Like, people will really open their hearts to you and tell you things that you never knew about them, or things about the loved one that you never knew. And honestly, I was organist at a church for quite a while, and I always said I would rather do 100 funerals than one wedding, because weddings are full of bridezillas and all kinds of ridiculous, superficial stuff, but funerals are real.
Sorry, shouldn't laugh.
No, I made it even worse. I said I put the fun back in funeral, because I would approach the funeral with like such a great attitude, because I loved seeing people be real and be authentic and full of love.
And for the YouTube audience, beloved may be muted, but she's doing this and she's dancing to that.
Yeah, you can play at mine. You can play at mine. Okay.
I will.
With the fun and funeral. I love that. That's another quote, Kenneth, that came out of psychiatric sobriety. Yo. Right. We put the fun and funeral.
That's the topic. I'm starting to name these with topics. Fun and funeral. All right, there we go. And again, for the YouTube audience, these participants in this Zoom call all have psychiatric parables of psychmeds and benzodiazepines. Folks, if you're in one of these psychiatric parables and you're in the fear porn is going through the roof, watch these videos. This it need not be. Mine was so frightening and so dark. And the more it was frightening and dark with the left hand, the more I was pulled back into the dark forest, the more I was hurled into orbit.
Yeah.
We got a lot of messages here, but that's one that's coming out in this Zoom call. Chris, how are you, buddy? You want to unmute?
Hey, everybody. Good to see everyone. Yeah, and wow, just great shares. I'm just taking it all in this morning. I also, like you, Mary, I'm never quite sure, what to bring up in these meetings, or sometimes I'll find myself thinking about, the week before I get on the Zoom call, like, okay, yeah, what am I feeling, and what are my updates and all this, and I don't really have anything grandiose to share, but it's just lovely being here and listening to everyone. I'm down to 5 milligrams of Paxil. I'm down from 40, and I'm feeling just so much better. I just feel so much more at peace these days. I feel like I was in that acute withdrawal for a long time, like this journey goes, and I don't feel as though I'm in that same space anymore. I've got a ways to go to get off the drug completely, but yeah, I feel like I'm in a very different space, one with far less panic and fear. I can still tell I'm sensitive, and my system is still recalibrating or whatever is happening behind the scenes, but I just feel, and I've shared this before, just lately, the last few months, I just feel at peace. I feel, and I am overcome with gratitude. I feel like I got through this thing, the worst of it, I think, is behind me, and it's kind of left me almost as confused as the journey was confusing. It was like so disorienting, and then I just kept going, like we all just keep going, and we have our tips and tricks and things to make ourselves feel better. But man, eventually I'm realizing, like, okay, so you kind of get out of the dark forest, and then you're just kind of like confused in a new way. But oh my gosh, I'll take this stage over the last stage any day. And so yeah, I'm feeling good. I certainly don't identify as being mentally ill in any way, and yeah, just very, very grateful to be here.
It's interesting, Chris. I got this intuitive shit that I thought, wow, as soon as I'm off as soon as I'm off the psych meds and benzodiazepines, then what? No, life just threw at me a whole nother curveball. As soon as I get over this curveball, then no, life. Finally, I said, all right, Kenneth, this is life. Detox, withdrawals, bankruptcies, divorces, just in the front door, out the back door, in the front door, out the back door. It's not going to stop. So I kind of emerged with a we call it in the Course of Miracles, above the battleground. I saw life's not going to stop throwing us all these curveballs, and we're just getting our faith muscles. Just here comes another one. I'm still going to darkness. Just what do I do? Just breathe and trust. It passes. Then we laugh. I laugh at Beloved's jokes. And Jody's got to start. I'm sure she's going to jump into this one because it's her turn next. Please.
I'm so in awe. I've gone through so many stages of just awe of this journey. Some of you know, and some of you don't. Like, I consider myself a survivor of hell. I lived in hell for a really long time. There was no hope for recovery. And here I am now, like complete 180, not totally recovered, but a complete 180. and just in awe of this journey, in awe of the gratitude that I can feel for the challenges. Like, because like Kenneth just said, the challenges are not going to stop coming. This is life. We're here to go through some challenges. And so, and this is where like it just comes back to the laughter. And so I've taken a lot of courses. I've been taking a lot of courses, and I continue to take a lot of courses. And a lot of it is like just reframing, because it's not life that stresses us out. It's the way we deal with life that stresses us out. So if you can get in there and change the program, change your mindset, and that's what I'm really working on now, is just like reframing all of this stuff. And then I'm just like, I take a couple of steps back and I'm like, wow, like this journey, wow. It's so, I'm in awe. I'm in awe of the beauty of it. And I'm in awe of just like the darkness that can come up that I still carry. Like, holy smokes. I've been on this intense healing journey for 8 years. And I still have stuff that comes up that just like knocks my socks off. And I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? And it takes me a little while again to recalibrate and to remember, oh, right, okay, so this is the journey. So it's really quite fascinating. I'm just like, I'm fascinated.
You know what I'm hearing, Jody? And this is just so, this ties just so into the the spiritual component is we get to a point when the darkness comes up, but by this time in our lives, we're asking the right questions. This darkness can't be who I am. And you use the word remember. So when the darkness, as long as the darkness isn't who we are, it's not the 911 call anymore. It's an annoyance, an inconvenience, but it's not an identification anymore. So now we don't have mental illness anymore. It comes in the front door and goes out the back door. And that's deep shit, but the mental illness is what woke me up. The mental illness saved me from a life of desperate mediocrity. I don't know who the poet was who used to, most men live in a state of desperate mediocrity. I'm not a poet and I can't recite who said that, but it was a famous philosopher once. And the mental illness pulled me out of this identification of this mind-body character, Kenneth Price, born 4, 5, 6, 7. And the only mental illness would be to try and prop that up, that great big, cartoon character. Why would you want to prop up a cartoon character? It's not real.
Yeah, that reframing, man. That's what this group's all about, right? And something came up that was interesting for me this past week, because my one of my uncles passed away on Thursday, and he was diagnosed with a brain tumor in February of this year. It was really fast, and he passed away. And I was talking to one of my family members late that night, and they were really struggling. And they said something about this death just kind of triggered a lot of fear and anxiety in them, because they were saying an existential kind of fear and dread about, wow, it doesn't matter. This family member was telling me on the phone, oh my gosh, nothing matters. And what's this all for? And he was kind of saying, like, there's no objective truth. It's all just how we perceive it. And I kind of thought, I was like, yes, and it was so interesting to hear someone saying it, but he was saying it from such a negative perception. He was perceiving it as negative, whereas you could actually perceive that as liberating. Yeah, nothing in a way does matter, or you could look at it and go, wow, nothing matters, and I just thought, I just agreed with him and said, man, that's why it's so important that we work on our own, that we're aware of how our minds are taking in information and there's a natural reframing that's happening usually behind the scenes, and then we take that as objective truth. But it's like, well, no, it's just a natural reframing. It's probably an unconscious reframing. So if you can have a conscious reframing, and then, oh my gosh, it's like that's the secret. That feels like almost maybe that is the reason we're here, or maybe that is the, I don't know, the big unlocking of like, what is the human experience all about? It feels like that is a big part of it.
Jenny, is your hand up?
I just wanted to say that part of the awakening process involved, for me, it involved grieving my old way of seeing things, like grieving the person that I used to be or who I thought I was. So it wasn't always like a liberating feeling for me, but when it does depend on how you look at it.
It's a good point. There's grief associated, right? If you're letting go of something, you're also grieving it.
I mean, that's perfect, because I'm still, and everyone's heard it, all over the internet by now, that after the psych meds and the benzodiazepines, then came my sadness. It's just sadness over my family completely fractured and fragmented, and there was not in our script to have a reconciliation. Of course there's going to be sadness. Bring on the sadness, in the front door, out the back door. So it's just covering up more of the light inside. And that's, my teacher is always counseling us, to express the feelings themselves. We'll get to the beliefs. They're hidden under the feelings themselves. Trauma, I was holding my body, release it. Before, with this Zoom call, Beloved and I were talking about exercise. Yeah, anything that works, dance it out of your body, run it out of your body, do whatever it takes. Mary's turn.
One of the things that Deborah and I were talking about today is how we handle grief. And I was saying, this action of when I lose someone now, where I seem to be getting physically sick for a little while. And I said, that's so different from how I used to be. I was a warrior. I could go to court and have the most nasty morning in court, fighting for custody of my newborn child against this man who had endless lawyers, and it was ruinous financially to me. And I would get right in my car and drive home and teach for 8 hours and take care of this little newborn and be there emotionally for my family and friends, and never break a sweat. I wasn't a soldier, I was a warrior, but now I lose someone and I get sick. And I said, why is that? Deborah said, it's the reckoning, Mary. She said, you did too much this way, and now you're going to swing the pendulum maybe for a while. And when you lose someone, maybe everything comes up. With me, it's like I have the flu. I'm throwing up. I have a fever. It's awful. It's a pattern now. It's happened 3 times in a row. So I think, I don't think I magically get flu every time that I lose someone. I think that it's a thing my body does now. And she said, but she said, it'll swing back and forth and you'll end up in equilibrium. And she said, you went too long without expressing, your pain, and you hid it and you tamped it down. And she says, and now when there's emotion brought up, it just all comes up, literally and figuratively, it all comes up. But she says, but you're paying attention to it now, aren't you? And I said, yeah. But I said, what's interesting? I said, it's happening at the same time that I've been making a conscious decision to not tamp down my emotions. When I feel sadness, I don't try to push it away. I let it reside in me and just flow through me until it flows out of me. And I don't try to distract myself or run away from it or deny that it's there. I let it be. And it hurts so much less when you do that with your so-called negative emotions, which I don't think are negative at all. They have a right to be within us. And I'm reading quite a lot actually on how when we don't process our emotions, they'll take root in our cells as chronic pain, which is something that I suffer from, a lot of chronic pain. and specific areas. If you have chronic pain or injuries in areas, if you look up Louise Hay and other people, they'll tell you, they'll actually identify, like with me, shoulders and upper back, I carried too many burdens. So I became very full of pain in those areas. But I'm working on getting those emotions to flow through me and out of me. And my goal is that I will have less chronic pain once I've worked through my emotions and got them out of my body. So I don't know, that's all overlapping again with stuff I'm researching and experiencing right now with myself.
Let me jump in there, because all of us, I don't know about you, but when somebody stopped my life and said, ma'am, you have bipolar disorder, I went into research mode and I haven't stopped. You know, we all know how to go into research mode to find out what the fuck is going on. What the fuck just happened here? But that's what you got to realize. You know, when you end up at the point of intervention, let's say, when somebody finally, I was 40 something, so I was a lunatic apparently all the way up until that point where they caught me. They caught me. They said, ma'am, you have a diagnosis. So, you know, we all still have life going on though. That's the point of this. Whether it was the drugs that came and you got all fucked up on that shit, you know, or whether for me, I was just generally crazy with no drugs to blame for it. I can't say that, so I don't have that story. But I just generally anger. That's me. Anger. I was a force of destruction, chaos, trying to be helpful, of course. You know, because all of us, we're doing the best we can, you know, but confused mind. So we all know how to research is my point. And that's what you got to do. And if research gets you science will confirm everything we're talking about here. Dr. Hawkins, you I don't know if you're studying him, but it sounds like you are, Mary, because he talks about all of this and how, don't get in the story, get in the emotion behind the story. So I see mine as anger. If you go back a few sessions here, you can see me ranting. And I was really angry. But you know what? It's a step up from grief. And that's my point. If we understood how the mind works, we could see how to get ourselves out. You know, because that is what your therapists and stuff supposed to be helping us with, those tools to let us know. I mean, I didn't know until my therapist said it wasn't normal to marry somebody you had met the day before. I didn't know that. I didn't know everybody didn't do that. I thought it was romantic. He just said, no, not really. Not everybody does that. Oh, I didn't know. So it is Hawkins shows you the levels of where you're dealing with. So even though it seems the same, like the perspective thing, Crystal, so cool. That is so good. Because you're right. Below 200 is what Hawkins calibrates. All the negative emotions are below 200. Once you cross 200, now you're on the way up to, you know, Jesus. Let's see. Okay. So that's what we're all doing here on this journey. Whether you got this diagnosis or you got this illness or your body does this. I mean, if you think your body, that we did, that's why we are going through this. But it's all about, we're not a body. It's all about those intangibles. Humor. Where is it? Where is it in the bottle? You know, or what you said. You could see that two ways. Yeah, like, damn. You know, when you're below 200, and that's what we're talking about, the deaths of despair. That's what me and Kenneth, sounds like you, Jody, you lived in it. You know, hell. Fucking. And I couldn't know anything up here. I was repelled by the light. Repelled. So this is all a spiritual thing here. That's all we're talking about. The drug, we're here to support all that Kenneth got, and everybody can hear. And I'm just gonna say, get a Nintendo Wii if you can, and talk to me. I'll let you know. They do it I hear from my friend, they do it in the 13th floor of the hospital.
Beloved,
I played Wii in the ward.
Did you? All right.
I want to touch on something you said before it leaves my awareness. I was repelled by the light too. And here was a discovery I made. Again, no fault, no blame, but when I was a little boy, and I couldn't comprehend and make sense, I built this shell around, little Kenny. And this shell I made impenetrable so I couldn't get hurt again. It was a defense mechanism, coping mechanism, survival strategy. That was my whole mental illness. Was people tried to love me, but love was designed to penetrate that shell, and I had the erroneous belief that shell was going to keep me safe. That was a holdover belief from a childhood response. So truly the miracle is, like we've been saying this entire 45 minutes, the miracle is love. When we let the love penetrate that, I let the love penetrate that wall I built around myself, and I'm still letting it penetrate the wall, and it still stings sometimes, but I can feel the sting and allow it. Let this wall, this is the only time I'll ever quote Ronald Reagan, but Gorbachev, bring down this wall. Never quote him again, but at least that one was appropriate. Someone's got to touch on that. Mary, what you just said, Mary, by the way, Mary, kudos again. Your testimony, I don't need to schedule a specific testimony for you, because yours just came out organically, because it needed to come out and it needed to be shared with the world. It was so beautiful. And I had to add that in. Thank you.
I'd like to speak to that as well, Mary. So part of my issues was, they called it complicated grief. My son died. I didn't deal with it. I just held it for a long time. And then, so I was in the mental health system for 13 years. The grief was never addressed. It was just medicated, like just all of the wrong kind of stuff. And then I went on this 8-year healing journey, and I still didn't deal with the grief properly, because what I was doing was I was trying to heal the grief. And I learned the hard way, which is always the best way to learn, I'm convinced, because it really sticks that way. What I had to do was feel the feelings. I had to give myself permission to feel, like to really feel. And it was scary, because before, so for the longest time, my body wanted me to feel the feelings. Like, the body's so smart. It knows what to do. It's the mind that gets in the way, right? So my body wanted to feel the feelings, and I wouldn't let it. The doctors wouldn't let it. The drugs were pushing it down. My consciousness was pushing it down, because it was all just so scary. Yeah. And so just recently, my son died 23 years ago. And just a month ago, I finally was able to release that. So what had happened was, a friend of mine had died, and it just triggered everything. And the reason I'm saying this to you now, Mary, is because when you went through a grief and you end up in bed with the flu. So that's your body. That's all the stuff that we store. Yeah. That's where chronic pain comes from. I had fibromyalgia, 31 years of intense chronic pain, healed, by the way, because we store all of this stuff. And so when my friend died last year, that's what put me in, I finally got to see a grief coach, finally got to see it. And she helped me to reframe all sorts of stuff. And so, but the real healing moment was 1 month ago, when I finally just allowed myself to feel the feelings. Yeah. And guess what? Once those feelings were authentically felt, their job was done, and they left. Yeah. And so I'm no longer carrying. And so it's I'm in awe again, because for 23 years, I carried that pain. And that pain has now been transformed into peace. So the incident still happened, right? And all of the stuff that went with it, it all still happened, but I'm at peace with that. And it's not because I healed anything. It's because I allowed myself to feel. And that's what healed me.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Oh, I could just amen that, Jody. Thank you for healing me this morning. You just shared my story. I heard my own story through you. Mine, same. You and I have said it before. In order to heal it, we gotta feel it. Oh,
But
I was-
everything happens in divine timing, don't you think?
Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to until my 50s.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. It all has to happen in, like, I see them as stepping stones. All of the things have to happen. The one step, like grades, right? We have to go through kindergarten before we can understand grade 1. If we don't learn those lessons in kindergarten, then the lessons in grade 1 aren't going to make sense.
There's no skipping steps.
No.
And unfortunately, we've been taught so poorly.
Senses of the soul.
This is a great book that is totally about the topic everyone's talking about. The author Guru Meyer Khalsa, I believe, he's the teacher of my meditation teacher, and it's a great book that goes into detail about what everyone's talking about, these negative emotions or difficult, heavy emotions, and how they basically, just like I think you said, Jody, they don't leave us until we feel them and kind of come to understand them and let them go. And what's great about this book is there's a lot of practical breathing techniques and meditation techniques to actually bring up certain emotions in order to work with them and try to ultimately feel them and release them.
Mm-hmm. Can you say the guru's name again, please, Chris?
Oh yeah, it's Guru Meyer Khalsa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll put that in the description. Emotional, what was the last one? Emotional therapy? What was the name of the book?
The name of the book is Senses of the Soul.
Okay, I'll put that in the description line. I'll put a link to it.
I was reading about massage the other day because I have to get a massage every week or I simply can't sit and teach all the hours I do. So for me, it's not a luxury, although it feels like one anyway. And I'll have to find the source again because I would actually like to tell you about it properly, but they were saying that after a massage, because so much of our emotions that haven't been processed reside in our cells. And after a massage, some of that is freed from us, which is partly why we feel so damn good after a massage, clears out the chakras. And they were saying that we are the closest to a celestial body after a massage. And that for a period of time that you go around and you really do see and feel life very differently. It's not just that you physically feel better. And I want to find that because I'm a big advocate for massage. Don't treat massage like it's a once a year Christmas present. I think it would be great for everybody to try to find a way to get massage into their life somehow, even if it's a friend who gives good massages that you trade. But there's something about getting the muscles worked. It's really, I think, a big part of a holistic therapy for us.
There have been so many valuable topics that have been brought up, in the last 55 minutes. But the one that is in the front of my awareness, Jody, it's the sadness. And I've said it in countless Zoom calls. I'm going through so much sadness. Thank goodness I am now able to go through my sadness. The loss of my family. I ran to so many therapists saying, help me feel it. Help me feel it. no feelings were nowhere to be found. Seriously, if I could have felt it before my 50s, I would have. To have the grace and the gift to have the feelings now at age 55 is, if I died tomorrow, I felt it, it's being alchemized and released for whatever reason, I don't know. But what I know, what was underneath is the love. The love was underneath. Period. Very simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Which is exactly what I feel like some days. Very stupid. So I love, Jody, your story, but your story contains, that's the pearl. Testimony. Said it before, wounded healers, not because we're wounded. It's because we're not going to, I guess I'll use the last few minutes just to say, we're not going to stand in the dark forest and shout instructions, all is one. You're one with the universe. You're Christ conscious. No, none of that bullshit. We go into the dark forest and we sit with that person. I'm so tired of being told I am one with God. If you really knew it, you wouldn't need to tell it to me. You would sit with me until I figured it out for myself. But that's what we get to do. Is now that we've been to hell and back, we go into the dark forest. Sure, why not? I love going to the dark forest. It's my purpose in life. I'm going to go back in there and I'm going to sit with you. And you're gonna tell me your story. You're gonna say, I know I had one of those stories too. I had one too. And they're gonna look at us and they say, you? Yeah, sweetie. You're gonna say, yeah, me too. And I'm gonna walk out and I'm gonna leave a trail of breadcrumbs. And there's no fault, no blame, no right, no wrong. But when you're ready, you can stand up and follow. It's such a beautiful gift we have to offer now because of it. And trust me, we didn't learn it, we earned it.
The hard way.
Yeah.
We got about 3 more minutes left. Anybody want to wrap up the YouTube archive? Well, you guys have the Zoom room will be open as long as you want, but I want to keep these YouTubes at 60 minutes. Anybody want to do any closing statements on this? Because this was powerful stuff from people who were on psych meds and benzodiazepines. There, put that in your pipe and smoke it with all this damage talk. There. Sorry.
I will end with something of what you just said. I was reading Sir Dr. David R. Hawkins today, and he said, did you know it is not, he worked with addicts as well, and he did this research with addicts, and do you know it's not the substance that you're addicted to? Did you know that? It's not the substance that you're addicted to. He says, you're addicted to the high. And he says, what those substances do, get this, Kenneth, you're going to love this. It removes the blocks, all the negativity, all the negative energy so that you can feel your natural high.
Thank you.
Is that similar to removing the blocks to love's presence? Like love has been here all the time, people.
Listen.
But the shell you were talking about and all these, we can't bear the light. Yeah, that's what he said. I said, what the fuck? What? You kidding me? You kidding me? I didn't realize that. That was like, oh.
I'm glad we're going to wrap up on that note, because the only way I can top that is with a simplistic teaching from David Hoffmeister that comes directly from the Course in Miracles. Addictions are simply misguided miracle impulses. There's the reframe. Okay, this is Kenneth Price, and this is Sunday, December 18th. And this was our 56th Sunday morning Zoom call for the ministry I'm hosting, psychiatricsobriety.com. From this point forward, the Sunday Zoom calls will always be open. If anybody wants to do a midweek Zoom call, contact me, because the last 2 times we've had no shows. So if anybody wants to, the Zoom room will be open at 5:00 p.m. on Wednesdays by appointment only. I'll make myself available. So we have been here for the last hour with beloved Mary, Jody, Jenny, and Chris. All of us are unwinding our psychiatric parables. We're, penetrating the mail. We're trying to think of the taglines of this ministry. leaving psychiatry and penetrating the veils of, you'll have to look at my webpage to see exactly how I put it, but like according to Krishnamurti, in order to, if it is not a measure of mental health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Basically, these are people who have been on psych meds and benzodiazepines. We went through the withdrawals. We got to the other side. We emerged, and these are the pearls that we brought with us. So if you're watching this on YouTube, leave your comments below, and may the force be with you. God bless. Bye.